Hello and welcome to the newspaper review here on TAV TV. My name is Obed Jerry, your host for today. And yes, you know what we do here. We are the streets of Port Harcourt like we've been doing for a time now. We get to discuss with members of the streets, get to see their reactions as regards the headlines making rounds on the newspapers. Well, you out there can also be a part of this show. Please subscribe to our channel if you are yet to subscribe. Turn on your notification button and do not forget to connect with us across all our social media platforms so that when we drop videos like this, you get to receive our notifications. Well, before we discuss with members of the streets, let's first look into the newspapers and see what the stories look like. First, we'll be looking at the Nation's newspaper. Today being 10th May, Friday 2024, the Nation's newspaper, the headline here reads, Rivers House reaffirms legitimacy as Fubara backs 3 loyal lawmakers. Details of this story is found on page 4. Sirica, others get 100 million naira bail. Details is found on page 6. Chibok girls back with 3 kids after 10 years. Interesting. Details is found on page 4. Senate, House differ on cyber levy. Details is found on page 2. NLC justifies 615,000 naira demand. Details of this story is found on page 9, and that's all be taken on the Nation's newspaper. And moving on, we're looking at the Punch newspaper. We see as headline here reads, Government under pressure to stop cybersecurity levy. Details is found on page 41. 2.7 billion naira fraud. Court imposes travel ban on Sirica daughter. Details is found on page 45. Abduction. Citizens slam IGP for detaining journalists beyond legal limits. Details is found on page 45. Tinubu, Abiodun, Amosun, others hail Awujale at 90. Details is found on page 45. The main story on the Punch says, Coastal Highway probe. Reps to summon Edun Umahi, AGF. Substory under that reads, Works Ministry Defense Project. House panel gets 4 weeks to complete probe. Details of the story is found on page 2. Senate okays death penalty for drug trafficking. Senate okays death penalty for drug traffickers. Very funny one. Details is found on page 34. Name persons sponsoring insecurity. Kano governor tells DSS. Details is found on page 3. Federal government plans new 125-bed Suleja prison facilities. Details is found on page 43. Much sorrow as under-17 hero Babangida is buried. Details is found on page 46. Lastly, it says customs begin manhunt for officers killer in Katsina. Details is found on page 7, and that's all be taken on the Punch newspaper. And lastly, we'll be looking at the Leadership newspaper. The headline here reads, Tinubu flags off Funtua Inland Dry Port. Details is found on page 7. Strikes, implement agreements with ASU. Others, reps tell federal government. Details is found on page 9. The main story here reads, Rivers crisis. Fubara lawmakers take fight to assembly quarters. Substory under that reads, Governor Hinds estates may need renovation. Pro-Wike lawmakers accuse Fubara of another demolition plot. Details is found on page 7. Lastly, it says Prince Harry, Meghan arrives in Nigeria today. Details is found on page 8. National Assembly divided over cybersecurity levy. Details is found on page 7, and that was all be taken for the newspapers for today. Now let's get to see the reactions of people on the streets. Let's get to hear what they have to say as regard these headlines on the papers. Stay tuned.
In recent times, we could find out that the rise in drug trafficking and drug intake in our community in Nigeria, as we can see, by the youth especially, has taken or has hit a high mark. And I feel like this is one reason why the Senate or those that we sent to the House has come out to say that, yes, for those perpetrating this act, the penalty that should be given to them if found guilty, because it is one thing to arrest somebody and say that, okay, you have allegedly committed a crime, and it's another thing to find them guilty of actually committing that crime. And now the Senate is coming out to say that for every person that has been found guilty of actually committing a crime that is as seen as drug trafficking in our country, Nigeria, should be sentenced to death. Now, this bill has actually passed the first, second, and also the third reading, and it is finally going for the president to actually enact it for it to become a law. Now, citizens are coming out to say that, is this good or is it bad? Well, I would say it is both good and bad in an aspect where we look at it, the point that, okay, this is being said so that people that are involved or part of this particular crime should desist from it, knowing fully well that, yes, once you're found guilty of a particular crime as drug trafficking, you will be killed. But funny enough, we could look at the point where we could look at, are we saying that trafficking of drugs is likened to that of murder and manslaughter? Owing fully aware that even in our dear country, Nigeria, people that are found as murderers, found guilty for a case of murder or manslaughter, are not being killed. Now, the death penalty for such crime has been taken out, and that of life imprisonment put into place, so as to find out that the life of every citizen, either in prison or outside in our day-to-day world, is very important and is very key. We are not God to give life, neither are we God to take life. In as much as we find that the prison is a correctional center for people that are that have committed a kind of illicit or illegal crime in our community, that place is to keep them in check, only for them to go back, sit back and think about their life, what they think they can come back and impact the community. Yeah, we have found that presidents of even our country, even that outside of the country, have been part of the people that have been in prison one time or the other and have come out to either impact us positively. So I feel like the coming out to say that for every crime committed that is for every person that has committed a crime that has to do with drug trafficking should be sentenced to death. I don't see it as something that should be. But on the other hand, or a lighter note, I feel like they should, one way or the other, look for another penalty, maybe a longer term in the correctional center.
Maybe other
attached punishment. So also that perpetrators of such crime will look back and say that no, we cannot compare ourselves to the like of UAE or Dubai. Those countries are putting measure things in place. Now this is a country whereby we see that drugs and the usage of illegal drugs is on the high side, and I feel like that is one reason why the government has come out to say that to curb it, to bring it on a minimal, the fear of you losing your life if you are being caught perpetrating such act would actually make you desist if you find that a particular law as this is being signed, a particular bill as this is being signed into law. So yes, it is good, and also I feel like the death sentence, it's not it. I don't think it is what is going to take to make people change their mind. If you give a position whereby there have been job for people to, like when you leave school, you have their job employment for other, for people to fall back. I don't think that people will involve or indulge in such acts, such as either drug trafficking. Because if you look at our society today, if every youth is not indulged in such acts, then definitely there will be no need for drug trafficking in the first place.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, this story on the Nation says Labour Congress justifies 615,000 naira demand. They are asking the federal government to implement 615,000 naira as minimum wage, unlike the 30,000 naira that we've been receiving for how many years?
Why is it not possible? How much? Check the economy, the prices of things, commodities in the market. What can 30,000 do for you? I'm asking you one question, simple. What can 30,000 do for you a week if you have family?
Looking at the hardship and how
the high cost of commodities in the market, a cup of garina is how much? In fact, now 100 naira is not valuable. 50 naira, what can 1,500 naira buy for you? Nothing. 200 naira cannot buy a simple meal. Nothing. So what are you talking about? The 615,000. I'm not saying it's much. It's not much because there's money. The
senators think Nigeria has the money.
They have the money to pay the citizens. Understand? How much senators are packing? How much in charge? Check their budget. The ministry, is it working? Each ministry in Nigeria, is it working? The billion they are funding the ministry. What does those money do for those ministries? So to me, the money is not much. If they can implement it, fine. Even the 500,000 is not much. Understand? They deserve it. So that some of this corruption will reduce. Understand me? Because all this small money they are paying people is, is increasing the level of corruption. Understand me? So it's not bad to me. It's not bad.
But don't you think it's better that they start gradually? Maybe increase it to like 100,000 naira for a start. Then after next year,
my brother, those
so
money,
something that they will meet up to.
To me, it's small. 100,000 is not money now in Nigeria. Even 1 million naira is just like 100,000. Transportation is how much? Okay, check from where you are working. Check that transportation on daily basis. Times a month. It will be more than 50,000. Depends the distance compared to your salary. Why won't you thief if you see opportunity to steal? Understand me? So the money that you make it, a little bit reasonable. Understand me? Okay, school fees. They are increasing school fees. They are increasing everything on daily basis. Understand me? Then meanwhile, they are not increasing their salaries. Understand me? To talk of maybe a dependent person like me, because I'm not working for government. Understand me? So it's better they increase their salaries.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. It's good
Thank
to have
you.
you here.
Thank you very much.
On the Punch, there's a funny headline that I would like you to talk on. It says federal government plans new 125 beds for Suleja prison facility. What do you have to say about that?
Now, you know, one thing that is really funny about our nation, Nigeria, is that we keep moving forward in the wrong direction. Now, having to increase number of beds in prison and facilities, it shows that you're expecting more inmates. Yeah. Now let's take it outside. Now it therefore means they have, in quotes, seen with a bigger eye that the crime rate in the nation is increasing. Thus, need for more facilities to tame down these criminals we're having. So it is just like I said, we are moving forward in the wrong direction. We could remember in the old administration, in as much as we know we're not good at giving kudos to our past government, but we can still pinpoint one or two things that they did that was really fair. We could still remember the days of N-Power. Now, there were categories where every single eligible Nigerian actually fits into. So rather than having to fit into the bed, 125 beds, they are telling us now,
Fit into job opportunities.
it is better to fit into job opportunities. We had N-Power. I'm not taking us back in time now. We had N-Power for farmers, N-Power for so every single Nigerian had a particular role to play. This is where we are now. Instead of let's see how to reduce the crime rate. Let's see how to make some persons in quotes repent. Our federal government is telling us, though it's a good thing because we outside we don't know the conditions out there, but it should not be something that should be emphasized on a newspaper headline. It's something that this is like part of
Underline
and underline something. We have more pressing issues right now. We have more other things to actually press rather than, because at the end of the day, some persons will still siphon money. With this very little thing you're seeing now, some persons will still
maybe supply like 100 beds and do away with the money.
So at the end of the day, every single thing that happens in Nigeria has a link to somebody's pocket. Somebody will surely carry his hose and go and pluck where the water is flowing. As long as it's Nigeria, everything will surely get to. Somebody must surely benefit from it. So, in as much as we know that it's a good development, but we're still hammering the part of proper timing. We're doing the right things at the wrong time. So this is the perfect development, but it's coming at the wrong time. Okay, after this now, for those that are outside, they have not told us what they are going to do for us, because of late, na man we walk chop, na if you sleep for bed, because for those outside, we also need this bed. We need the money to actually fund ourselves in order to get comfortable. Rather than making hellfire very comfortable, I feel you should come out and make the earth, the outside world, the little heaven that we're expecting.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, you've heard everything that has been discussed here, and you saw the reactions of people on this. Is what they have to say as regard these headlines on the papers. Well, this is where we draw our curtains for today, and you out there, like I said earlier on, you can also be a part of the show. Participate with us by dropping your comments in the comment section. Connect with us across all our social media platforms, and if you have anything to add to it, drop your comments in the comment section. So then, when we drop videos like this, you get to receive our notifications. My name is Obed Jerry, your host for today, and this has been the newspaper review here on TAF TV.